This type of Yerushalmi Shekalim, the article also edition, but Mamish top of Lamed Hey Alf, top line Rabbi Avun, and in the Vilna Yerushalmi, it's on Chav base. In the Vilna Bavli Yerushalmi, it's on Yud Gimel Amud Aleph. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 lines at the top. The end of the 6th line. No, that's not true. No, further down. Actually, much further down. Sorry about that. 3, 6, 9, 12, 16 lines down. Okay. Now, Rabbi Zira had explained yesterday that the svara of Rabbi Shimon himself, that the keva Ola can make tamura, because he said, we should probably go back and see it inside. So same as time. So let's go back to Lam Dalam base. The Zira Shem Rabbi Lazar, which is 6 lines to the bottom. And in the Vilna, it is Vilna Bavli Yerushalmi. It is Ad Silya Gimel Amud Aleph. Zira B'Shem Rabbi Lazar. That is 3, 6, 9, 11 lines at the top. So B'Zir has the Lomar Ken Ela is in Kobe Tmei Shalek and Koban Lashem Kosh En really Krev Lokam Lo Makamacher. So it's more that anything which can't be sacrificed anywhere does not make Torah. Yotzat Nekeva Sheba Ola, which James Greer said yesterday, Shapish En really Krev can't really Krev Makamacher, right? Even though the Nekeva Ola can't be sacrificed here, it can be sacrificed as a bird. And that Rabbi Vun, Rabbi Bun, Bon Kumi Rabbi Zir, to ask Rabbi Zir. Hare Raveh v'Nirva. But Raveh and Nirva, an animal which was Raveh, or was Nirva, a human being. Hare anyway, not suitable sacrifice anywhere. They're totally possible. Hare no sin tomorrow. They can make tomorrow. How come? According to you, it shouldn't be able to make tomorrow because it's not really carved anywhere. And Raveh and Nirva is not right for a korban, period. So Omar Lona said, Afani lo marti al tmei mamish. Now, the word mamish here is iffy. Sunun Disclosed changes it. In fact, they're changed it to something. Changed it to mimun, because tmei mamish is not obviously not the case, because they're not grab zero tmei, and tmei here means the animal which is completely unsuitable to be a korban, right? So it's not necessarily tmei mamish, but anything which is unsuitable to be a korban. So the Kormei says Elo Dumya to Tmei Mamish. Doesn't change the Gersa, but the Dumya Tmei Mamish ain't b'mina korban. Avuki Olas Nekei v'sheish b'mina korban. That's Olas Payment does have b'mina korban, and Rovei b'niba b'mina. They can be korbanos. This specific animal is possible because it has Rovei of the Isser, but the main is still Roy, so that's why you can make Tamura, right? So to anything which cannot be a korban in that min at all, that doesn't make the Gemara. But if I have a nearby, it's not a problem. So, and now the Gemara says, Pekasha, Bedoksi, Behamid, Veherich. So this here, also there's a lot of gears of issue here, what exactly we're saying here, and it could be it's referring back to the previous Gemara. That's what Reb Chaim says. That the same question we had asked Henry Herrick should apply here, as Kormeda explained in the previous Gemara, as we saw. Was korban require Hamid v'Herich? Hamid v'Herich is only by a Balmum. It's not that Balmum. So it's about a behemoth which is not suitable to begin with. Right? Okay, even if it makes Tmura, because Makamacher can be Makamacher, it is Kadosh. But it surely doesn't require Amar Baracha. It's not Balmum, so why should it require Amar Baracha? But that's not the way the Korban learns it. The Korban learns it that he changed the Kirsa. Hokirasina Badaksi Behemi Beherach Simatutsu Rabbi Zirahi came in the Kra Iri Bitmea Mamish Shichamara Baracha. He's saying that it's Tmea Mamish means that it is an animal which is completely unsuitable. And since it's completely unsuitable, it's like a bambu. And that's the Kra Amara Baracha. I like the Reb Chaim's shot, and so I want to point out the Reb Chaim. Sorry, before my mic fell, I'm not sure if you could hear, even though I said that my mic fell. But in any event, I think Reb Chaim, I like that Reb Chaim says that what's Tameim, what's completely inappropriate, that was different, which is not similar to what we have in Yerba. The cave of Pesach Osham, because the cave of Pesach Osham is not shaykh at all. But the cave of oil is shaykh. So therefore, at the Meya Mamish, which is loved Afghan Mamish, it's not a kosher animal, but one which is not suitable to be a korban at all, that doesn't make Tamura. But anything which is remotely suitable, right? And in the min it's suitable, that makes Tamura, including Rav Avnir, but just like the cable Ola, because the Ophos is right. Okay, perhaps I repeated myself a bit too much there. Let's go on to Halacha Hey. Achas l'shloshim mashanas and lishka. So once every 30 days we reckon the lishka. So the what does that mean? So it says Korban Eidah. The Chayatin also the same thing. Nosim shir lehenos hashmani mislasos. We give a share, which means here a price for the wine and the oil and the flour. Shiamot zeh shal shloshiyom. Lokim gizbay machitzichin ba'osos skum shepasku, and they take based on that assessed price. Yitzhak mekach emosiv hindamim. Of course, yad hektish shal yonah. The price goes up, they don't add on. If the price goes down, of course, they benefit from it. Kol makabel of a sapik, and this Gemara gives an example. The Mishnah gives an example. Kol makabel of a sapik sloso is me'arba. He was going to give 4 for $1, 25 cents for a measure, right? So on the mishalosh, if they now cost 33 cents a measure, and only 3, Yisapi Marba, he still has to provide for 25 cents a measure. Mishalosh Vam do Arba, but if originally when the measure was 33 cents for each, 3 for $1, from the Marba now it's 4 for $1, Yisapi Marba. It's got to give the 4. Shiad Hekta Shal Yonah is always on the is always superior. They get the benefit of whatever is whatever's cheaper, the original price or the new price. The imislia, if the solas, if the solas went bad, it got wormy, islia low. It's loss of the supply. And since the kormeda, afilu mashal gives nasa mos. It made a full kinyan, the meshicha and mos doesn't matter. Achres mechenvani, the storekeeper has the achrayas. The chmitza yain achmitzo, saying the wine goes bad. Enoka moisav achiema is beach meratzeh. So we just said he got the money. So Kermit says enoka moisav klamar enach shavim moisav shulchan bani. Even though he got the money, not considered to be his money. Lo zacha by mashik hilum agizbar, and doesn't fully acquire them, even though he gets the money from the gizbar already, until they go up to the ratzon on the mizbech. Have to make sure that they are acceptable, and therefore that's why it went bad. It goes bad to the seller. Okay, so it says Martani b'shem Rabbi Shimon. The name Shem Miyari v'Kablios Mosov. It's like Carmey said, they got the money immediately. They weren't fully zeching the money until there was a sacrifice. So they got the money immediately. Except according to Moshe, which we'll see. And we're not sure she's going to be possible because Graham's busy him. So we assume everything's going to go okay, because normally it does go okay. Says, but Moshe says differently. I see the Marafulda also says differently. The Polygon Tani Enumakam was Al Basov Shem Mizbech Maratza. He learned that they according to Yerushalmi Mishas Kipshuto. You don't get the money until the Mizbech is Maratza. And Rabbi Shimon says, no, they get the money immediately. Because Kohen Mizizimim and if necessary, they get the money back. But in the meantime, we rely on the assumption everything is going to go according to the proper, appropriately. Okay, Hachuma, new parak, Elohim Mamuni. Okay, so these are the people who are Mamuna in the Beis HaMikdash, and this is a question which Gemara is going to discuss. You know, these are all specific names, so a specific period of history. So, was this like one period, all the names that period, or it was like famous people who, different periods of time, served in these capacities? These are people who are in charge of Beis HaMikdash. Yochanan ben Pinchas al Chosamos. He was in charge on of the Chosamos of the seals. The Tatan Chadatim says that over here, the Gaon, the Gaon, I don't know, actually, the Gaon maybe it's the Gra. Since it's the Tatan Chadatim. He said, the Gra, that's what he says here. So this is the Gra's Perish in the Mishnah. Not necessarily what the Gemara is going to say, but this Perish in the Mishnah. Klum Nikru al Shem Arishon. Chem Lachim Parov Avi Melech, Malki Tzedek, Moshkosim Nachas Ben Mordechai, Yerushalmi Ben Pinchas HaMalbish. So he said the Gra is in the Mishnah, which again is not necessarily what the Gemara is going to say, but we'll see. Is that these are all the first to serve in these roles. Okay, so. The article says we're going to see about this later on. Okay, so Mikdash ben Pinchas is in charge of the seals, which when you paid your money, you got a chosam to say, okay, the bearer is entitled to one measure of soles, and so etc. So that was the chosamos. Achia I was in charge of the Nesachim. The Chosamas actually doesn't say here what the Chosamas were, but whatever we'll see in the Gemara. Achia was in charge of the Nesachim, that we distribute them. Masi ben Bishmo was in charge of Payosos, and to do the lotteries, which quantity was in Avoda. Psachi was in charge of the birds. When they had to bring pairs of birds, they would bring money, put them into pushkas, and with that money they would bring kinim. And this is have to figure out exactly who has to bring which birds for zav, yoletis, in order to retire them. They would not bring the birds to Beis HaMikdash. To the point they would bring money and they would buy the birds. And it says here you need great chachamim for this job because Mesechas Kinim is one of the hardest Mesechas in Shas, not the hardest Mesechas in Shas Mishnayos, and because of all the sveikas that might arise with these birds flying from set to set. Okay, Psachia is Mordechai. Psachia is Mordechai. Why is it called Psachia? He would be the first to speak about matters. In other words, that he'd be able to resolve difficult matters. The Darshan and expound them. And he also knew 70 languages. As we know, Mordechai knew Big Son Viserish's languages, and therefore was able to disclose the plot to Achashverosh, assuming it's the same Mordechai. The Gemara Menachos asks that Abraham says that knows 70 languages, but we know that in fact that was not actually always the case. That they had the Sanhedrin, which a few people who spoke 70 languages was in great shape. Okay, there's The Yavetz, interestingly, I like this Yavetz. Malchus brings down that, this article brings down note 8, says this Mordechai was a Shem Binyamin. So it's clear that the moon and the Beis HaMikdash should not have necessarily be a Kohen or Levi. It could be from many other Shevet, which is pretty, very interesting horror. I like that. Okay, let's make a note of that. Okay. Yeah. Ben Achi was in charge of Choli Me'ayin. So he was in charge of Kohanim who got sick very frequently. Gemara is going to explain why the Kohanim got sick very frequently. Basically, they ate a lot of red meat and and they have to eat a lot of it. Okay, but so Gemara is going to explain. Nechunia was in charge of digging wells, and in order that water should be prevalent for the Oli Regalim. Givini Cruz. Givini used to make the announcements. Evidently, he had a very highly amplified voice. Ben Gever was in the Yisrael. He was in charge of the closing of the gates. Ben Bavi Memuna Pakia. Ben Bavi was in charge of the Pakia, which was the making the wicks, according to interpretation. So evidently that's more says there in Lamed Zayin in the art scroll, and the Bavli has a different shot. The Bavli says there was the whip with which they whipped Kohanim, which were found to be sleeping on the job. Okay, so the different interpretation. Ben Arza Tzatzal. Ben Arza was in charge of the Tzatzal, which was one of the musical instruments, and according to the Rambam Perish and Mishnayos, he was in charge of the orchestra, the Tizmoret of the various different musical instruments, not just the Tzatzal, which of course is translated here by the Kormeda as cymbals. But according to Rambam, it was all musical instruments. One of Reb Chaim says that also. Just curious. He actually speaks about a lot of stuff here, but no, doesn't say it. And Behugras Ben Levi is identified as Ben Levi, which is a sticker right to the Yavetz, right? And now the Vim, he was Hugras Ben Levi al Ashir. Beis Garma Maisalecham Aponim, they were in charge of making the showbreads. Beis Avtias and Maisek Torres. Elazar was in charge of the paroches, and Pinchas, well, they had various different paroches. The article brings down from the Bavli Yuma that there were 13 parochos. I'm sure there are many different curtains used for them. Each one for each of the 7 gates of the Azara, and one for the Ula, one for the Hechal, and 2 in the Kodesh Kodashim, and 2 above them in the second floor in the Aliyah. And Pinchas were Hamalbish. Pinchas was in charge of the clothing of the Kohanim. The says Gemara, Eila Moshe Mikdash. So Rabbi Chizka, Rabbi Simon, Rabbanan, Rabbi Chizka, in the name of Rabbi Simon and Rabbanan, had a difference of opinion who these people were. Chanamar Kashere Dor V'Dor Balim Nos. In other words, they were shared in in different generations. In other words, there's not one generation. And these were the greatest of them all. Each one is numerated as the greatest. And the other said, no, he was in that generation, the first generation from Shivas Tzion. They enumerated those in their generation, and that is, of course, like the Gra. So the Gra took the second shot. Okay. Okay, and this is Although the way the article translate, Mishab Oso door means the door of the town of the Mishnah, which doesn't seem to be the case. As Reb Chaim learned it. Door Echa V'Tana Sheba Oso door. No, that's how we learned it. Okay, but that's not the Kol Meir says. So he says, "Sholi Yisam Negol Mona Osam Shegu B'Dor V'Lo Munim Sheb B'Zman Habayis." So I guess the Gutak and Chadatin seems to say like the art scroll that Misha Oso door Lav Dakin Shum Shenk Shekol Dor Mona Elu Shebedoro. Okay, so there are two possibilities. Anyway, that will bring us to Tabla and Vav Amrav, so we'll stop here for today.